Shalom, everybody. What's the business? What up? What up? We out here with the next episode of Reading with SHILO. What's up, man? I'm SHILO. Reading with me, the captain of this ship. I'm the captain. What's up? We ready to embark on this next rowing session. We got to get it rowing. We got headway to make. Got our bearings straight. We done already cast off, man. We cast off already. I'm rolling by myself right now, but you know, don't worry. I'm gonna find a crew one day. Until then. I'm on the sea, baby. Roll. Until then, I got rowing to do. Rowing to do. Yeah, so we're gonna do it, man. And we back with it in this session of Reading with SHILO, man. We're in part 2 of the slave revolution in the Caribbean from 1789 to 1804, a brief history with documents by Laurent Dubois and John D. Garrigus. The sea of pages is laid before us today. You know, some uprising stuff, man, some upheaval stuff. Some, man, we out here. Some, oh man, we gonna, hey, we standing on what we talking about. We ain't down for this. You done beat us enough. Bitch, I said enough. Get them. Yeah, they still going, man. They still going. The slave revolution in the Caribbean, man. The last part I read in the beginning, you know, was a little bit about how they had son Napoleon in there, and Napoleon had whipped their butt. I mean, Napoleon got his ass whipped by the people who was there. After this had a lot to do with the Louisiana Purchase as well, with the land being broken up and sold in different ways. There's a lot of so-say freedoms and stuff that was enacted. It was also citizenship to become French citizens. I believe that was enacted as well because of the revolution. They changed the name of Saint Dominique to Haiti, which was the name that the indigenous people had called it, which I thought was cool. I thought that was cool to know. Haiti has always been called Haiti. Well, so this is what we're going to do. Before we keep reading, we're going to work the... I'm tired. I ain't going to sleep yet, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and get with the program. We're going to work our body, work our mind, and work our body. For this episode, man, I'm not as upbeat as I normally be in the morning. But we got to do something. 25 things is what I ask of you. 25 things. Get off your behind. Let's do 25 things. Make a move, man. We got to make changes in our life. How you think them revolutionaries had to, man, they wasn't sitting around being fat. No, they was out there, man, you got to make a move. How you going to make a move? You need to get up and make a move now so you can get up and make a move later if you have to. For any case, look at the fires and shit going on. Hey, people got to move from their house. Vacate, evacuate, get gone. You going to be able to get gone? Or you going to be stuck my 600-pound life in the bed? So, trying to see, make sure I can, all right, make sure I can got room. 25 things, that's all I ask of you. You do 25 things, I'm going to do my 25, man. I ain't doing 50 of these. We're going to work something. I'm going to work something. Whatever you can do, just don't cheat yourself, man. Don't cheat yourself. Get off your fat, lazy ass and do something. Get off your fat, lazy ass and do something. Let me go, wrong way. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, I did something. Did you do something? You ain't did shit, though. I hope you did something, though. Any little thing, man. Something. Something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. Do something. Hey, if the slaves didn't do nothing, there wouldn't be no revolution. If they didn't do nothing, it wouldn't be no revolution. Don't matter how small it is. Do something. Do something. You never know what momentum that little bitty thing could cause. What chain reaction within you. Man, you know, I could do that. Oh, man, that wasn't all right. That wasn't that bad. Oh, it might be something. The slave revolution. I'm ready to see what the, we're still in the introduction. We haven't really even gotten into the book for real, for real. We're still in the introduction. History. And so far, it hasn't said what America is or what the U.S. has done or what they will do. Or what they were talking about they will do to try to combat the slave revolts. That's something I definitely want to see if I come across something like that, if they have anything that was said. So we can see if those things are still done. You know, I know banning certain material. Certain books were banned in certain places. Shalom, shalom. Trinity. Shalom, Trinity. Boot. Bootsoulja. I don't know about the stones built over. Maybe that's some of the stuff that, like in the American apartheid, it was the same, pretty much a lot of the same stuff going on. They were building over a lot of things. They were adding to. There were a lot of debts were going on the same way in the within this. There was a lot of people getting killed for sugar. There was sugar being the crack that they was addicted to at the time, and they were pushing it out. They were pushing sugar out and sending people in. But let's pick up where we left off. Slave revolution, part 2 of the slave revolution in the Caribbean, 1789 to 1804. We're gonna see if they still about that. If they still about this crack that they own, the sugar. Saint Dominique was divided into 3 provinces, whose separation and varied geography made them almost like different colonies. High mountain ranges divided French Saint Dominique from Spanish Santo Domingo, and also divided the French provinces from one another, making travel between them by land very difficult. The North Province contained the colony's commercial capital, Le Camp, then also referred to as Cap Francis, and now called Cap Haitien. Located on the major Atlantic sailing routes and surrounded by the fertile northern plain, Le Cap became the largest city in Saint Dominique, as the place where most French immigrants and African captives first touched Caribbean soil. Le Cap was truly Atlantic City. In many ways, it was more connected to France than the official colonial capital, Port-au-Prince. With governors and other high administrators maintaining residence, somebody was already in this. There, and the colony's leading cultural institutions, theaters, printing presses, and scientific academy located there, Le Cap was the showplace for private and government architecture by the 1780s. On the far side of the island, Saint Dominic's South Province was the most isolated from Atlantic commerce. A journey to the southern coast from France involved sailing around the treacherous peninsula and took commercial captains far out of their way. For this reason, the South was more connected to other parts of the Caribbean than to France, and Southern planters sold their produce to Dutch, British, and eventually U.S. ships violating French law. Ain't that something? You don't do nothing. They also brought many of their slaves as contraband. Colonists in this region were poorer, more likely to be Creole, that is, born in the colonies, and less likely to abandon their estates for life in Europe. There was also a large and deep-rooted population of free people of color in this province. Indeed, in many parishes, they outnumbered whites. Hey, you still have parishes down here in Louisiana. I wonder who else have parishes. I know Louisiana have a parish. I think that might be. How many states have parishes in North America? Louisiana and Alaska. The term county is used in 48 states, while Louisiana and Alaska have functionally the equivalent subdivisions called parishes and boroughs, respectively. Until the late 19th century, South Carolina Low Country was divided into parishes. Well, I guess Louisiana is the only state that has parishes. I guess the boroughs would be in Alaska. Why is Louisiana the only state that had to have parishes and not counties? Louisiana was officially Roman Catholic under both French and Spain's rule. The boundaries dividing the territories generally coincided with church parishes. In 1807, the territorial legislature officially adopted the ecclesiastical term, parishes. That means Creole. They would say some of the Creole are Geechee, the Geechee people from up there in the Carolinas. Creole people that would say down here in Louisiana, Haiti, man. The West Province sheltered the colony's two peninsulas. Sheltered by the colony's two peninsulas, was home to the capital of Port-au-Prince. Though less convenient for shipping than the North Province, the West Province contained the colony's largest plain. At Croix de Bouquet, the West Province contained the colony's largest plain at Croix de Bouquet. The focus of massive investment after 1750, the West had more plantations than the North, not only in sugar, but also in coffee and indigo by 1789. In the early years of colonization in the French Caribbean, as in other New World societies, plantations were worked by a mixture of indentured servants from Europe and slaves imported from Africa. But as the sugar economy expanded and gobbled up most of the land in the French islands, the number of indentured servants declined rapidly. Planters in Martinique and Guadeloupe turned so rapidly to enslave African men and women that by the 1650s, about a decade after sugar was introduced, black slaves outnumbered their colonists there. By the 18th century, slaves made up approximately 90% of the population on both islands. Damn, man. I see why they underlined that. By the 18th century, slaves made up approximately 90% of the population on both islands. This pattern of racial domination and exploitation allowed colonists to reap great benefits from their plantations, but it created profound social and political tensions. St. Dominic's sugar barons invested in human power as well as in their estates. They commonly describe their wealth not in terms of cane acreage or in tons of sugar exports, but instead in terms of the hundreds of enslaved workers they controlled. The pace of slave imports into St. Dominique, which was the major destination of most French slavers, expanded dramatically in response to their sugar boom. Between 1700 and 1725, St. Dominic recorded annual imports of approximately 2,000 men, women, and children. Between 1700 to 1725. Clear all that. 50,000. 50,000 men and women imported within 25 years. Between 1700 and 1725. Let me mark that. 50,000. Let me put that in there. 50,000. Man. The average number doubled in the next 25 years. So I went to 100,000. And then doubled again from 1751 to 1775. Whew, man. 200,000. In 1777, slave ships disembarked roughly 22,000 Africans, and by 1790, the number reached an all-time annual high of nearly 48,000. Surviving records show that St. Dominic imported 685,000 Africans between 1700 and 1791. Up to half of them in the last 15 years of this period. And the number, furthermore, does not account for the many slaves brought into the colony illegally by slavers who operated between Caribbean islands. Constant imports were needed because between 5 and 10% of St. Dominic's plantation slaves died of overwork, malnutrition, disease, and harsh treatment every year. Europe's insatiable appetite, it was some crackheads, sugarheads, them sugarheads. It was on them sugars. That's why we got to get off the sugars. We got to get off the sugar. Sugarheads. I'm going to put that in the book. Sugarheads. Them white folks were sugarheads. They on that powder. Booger sugar. Sugarheads. Man. Europe's insatiable appetite for expensive sugar and the growing efficiency of the slave trade meant that exporting an extra barrel or two of sugar would more than pay for replacing the African sacrifice to the cane. Oh, fuck them. Give me 2 more barrels. Make them niggas work. Make them niggas work. I need my sugar. You can put sugar in everything. By 1790, after several years of record-breaking African imports, there were at least 500,000 slaves in St. Dominique. They outnumbered white colonists by more than 10 to 1, and up to 2/3 of the slaves, and therefore a majority of the people of the colony were African-born. Early on, a majority hailed from West Africa and were usually referred to in the colony as Arudas, Arudas, Aradas, Arudas, Arudas. Early on, a majority hailed from West Africa and were usually referred to in the colony as Arudas. This group was ultimately outnumbered, however, by arrivals from West Central Africa, often from the Kingdom of the Congo and surrounding regions. They were referred to as Congos in the colony. Religious ideas and practices, languages, agriculture techniques, political ideologies, and military knowledge and experience notable among Congo slaves, many of whom were veterans of Central African wars of the late 18th century, were all brought into St. Dominique. You put all them warriors in one place. They can't talk, but they can. Oh, they can communicate other ways. They know war. Religious ideas and practices, languages, agricultural techniques, political ideas, and military knowledge and experience notably among Congo slaves, many of whom were veterans of Central African wars of the late 18th century, were all brought into St. Dominique, shaping its culture, landscape, and ultimately the course of its revolutionary transformation. Man, we done did this shit in Africa. This ain't no different. We can whip all them white folks. And they did. I told you they ain't got nothing on us. I told you. And the after war celebration. Cook up them damn plantains and rice. Cook up the peas and rice. Get the oxtails going. Man, I had Haitian sister, man, Zamira. Beautiful singer. Sing beautifully. Zamira had cooked a Haitian dish called, well, I don't know what it's called, but it was a coconut cod, man. Coconut cod. Oh, man. One of my favorite dishes, some coconut cod. Simple, but oh, man. I had to put that on. I told her at the time, my wife at the time, I was like, man, you got to learn that. Hey, that needs to be on the menu. Coconut cod over a bed of some nice rice. Oh man, some fluff. Put it over a bed of some fluff. Magnifique. Maybe that's why I get along so good with Haitian people. Sapase to all my Haitians. This group was ultimately outnumbered, however, I already read that, my bad. On the plantations themselves, the imbalance between the enslaved and the white masters and overseers was extreme. Sugar plantations were much larger on average than plantations that cultivated cotton or tobacco, as did most in the U.S. South. The average sugar plantation had about 200 slaves, but in the colonies, two largest sugar zones, the northern plain behind the city of Cap Francis and the Croix de Bouquet plain behind Port-au-Prince, over 300 women, and children worked hundreds of acres on the largest estates. Some investors controlled as many as 1,000 people on neighboring properties. And on many large plantations, the planter, a bookkeeper, a plantation manager, a sugar refiner, and perhaps a surgeon were the only whites directing the work of 300 slaves, 300 slaves. Man, that's nobody. Man, only take 3 of y'all, bust them balls beside the head, man. Smaller plantations, I understand it's easier said to say these type of things, or people would say it's easier to say these type of things when you're not in those situations. But a lot of people did. A lot of people had them and paid the price. They died. They was took out of them like you would have to do. Get the ones out of there who causing the confusion. Keep the ones who easier to tame. A lot of people died, but man, it just seemed like, man, that's when you know it's not them. It ain't them. It ain't them. It ain't them. There's no way they, 3 of them, 3. Like who it was? It was on many large plantations, the planter, that's 1, a bookkeeper, 2, a plantation manager, 3, a sugar refiner, 4, and perhaps a surgeon, 5, were the only whites directing the work of 300 slaves. 5 to 300. Man, please. Yeah, that's how you know it had to be some other shit, man. It's some other shit. There's got to be some other shit. There's no way. Like 5 men can control 300. There's another power over there. There's another power over there. Smaller plantations might have only 1 or 2 resident whites. The severe discipline necessary to control these workers made plantation life unpleasant for Europeans, especially unseasoned newcomers. About a quarter of St. Dominique's planters lived in France, leaving the disagreeable business of administering their tropical properties to managers. And it was even more common for colonists to leave their wives and families at home in France. Only those whites born in St. Dominique who, like slaves born in the colony, were called Creole, were likely to live on the estates with their wives and legitimate children. The treatment of slaves in the French Caribbean was, in principle, governed by the Code Noir, Document 1, which was issued by King Louis XIV in 1685. Had to check out them Roman numerals. In practice, however, planters and managers ignored many of the provisions of this document, particularly those that provided protection to the slaves. Violence was a central part of plantation society in St. Dominique, Martinique, and Guadeloupe. Masters and their employers maintained the state discipline through the regular torture and execution of rebellious field workers. They often meted out punishments publicly to terrorize other slaves, forcing them to watch and sometimes participate. Provisions in the Code Noir that limited acceptable forms of torture to whipping were never effectively enforced, and this violent order was, of course, not unique to the French Caribbean. British planters in nearby Jamaica, for instance, had the same life and death power over their slaves. And during their long working days, St. Dominic's plantation slaves were divided into specialized work gangs and usually labored under the supervision of the other slaves. These commodores or drivers, who were named by the planters or manager, were often island-born. Commodores. They formed the core of the plantation slave elite, which might include a dozen other skilled individuals deemed reliable by the master, such as carpenters, blacksmiths, cart drivers, and barrel makers. Planters tended to appoint only men to such positions. They were generally exempted from field work. I guess I would have been exempted from that field work being a carpenter. Or knowing carpentry. On many estates, therefore, women made up more than half of the first work gang, which performed the heaviest labor, like digging the wide, shallow ditches where the cane would be planted. Domestic work was the only relatively privileged area in which women predominated. Like the commodores in the fields, a slave woman often supervised the slaves who worked in the master's house. Housekeepers frequently performed sexual work for their masters as well. Because Europeans came to St. Dominic not to settle, but to make their fortunes, nearly every colonist took a mistress, frequently a slave. It is difficult to generalize about these relationships. Masters reinforced their power by raping slave women, using sex as a weapon, but sometimes they also established long-term ties with enslaved women, fathering mixed-race children and often freeing them. Enough colonists did free their sons and daughters from slavery that royal officials counted roughly 24,800 free non-whites in the colony, alongside 30,800 whites in 1789. They almost had one per person. They almost had one per person. At least several hundred of the free people of color were wealthy planters and merchants, and members of this free colored elite owned and exploited slaves much like whites did. Identifying themselves as French colonists, they played a critical role in destabilizing colonial society after 1789. Though most were not opposed to slavery, their attack on racism opened the way for the slave revolt that became the Haitian Revolution. Many free people of color got a foothold in the economy of the colony by cultivating not sugar, but two other important crops, indigo and coffee. Although the production of indigo dye required heavy field labor and a delicate refining process, only a few dozen slaves were needed to do the work. After 1760, coffee became St. Dominic's second most important plantation crop. Because coffee needs cooler temperatures than sugar, most of the new plantations were built in the hills, where sugar cane could not be planted. Like indigo, coffee could be profitably grown with far fewer slaves than needed for sugar. The median size of St. Dominique's coffee plantation was 33 slaves. That's like, man. That's like workers. I mean, if you was paying them people, paying 33 people compared to paying 300 people, it's not bad. That's a big drop, though. It's a big drop. It's a big drop. I'd rather pay 33. That's for damn sure. Although they own the largest enslaved population of the Caribbean, St. Dominique's planters also boasted one of the most secure slave regimes in the region. The security of the master's class rested on cooperation between whites and the free people of color. In the 1730s, a local police force called the Maréchaussée was founded to supplement the colonial militia in the policing of the slaves. From its very inception, the Maréchaussée used free men of color for the difficult physical work of patrolling the roads, searching slave huts, and chasing escapees in the trackless interior. In the 1770s, furthermore, as the number of human imports from Africa continued to rise, colonial governors who found that both island-born whites and French immigrants would revolt rather than accept increased militia duties, ordered free colored militiamen to help the constabulary. What is that? What is a constabulary? Where is my other highlighter? There we go. Constabulary. Let's write it down. C-O-N. Let's see if I'm pronouncing it right as well. C-O-N-S-T-A-B-U-L-A-R-Y. Constabulary. What the hell is that? C-O-N-S-T-A-B-U. Meaning
constabulary.
Constabulary. What the fuck what does it mean? What is constabulary in English? The police force of the town or district. What is the legal definition of constabulary? An organized body of constables, or of police officers. A police force organized like the military. Shit, that's what we have right now. Some constabularies. We got a constabulary right now. Constabulary. To help the constabulary with slave policing duties. These free men of color, however, received little reward for their contribution to the security of the colony. Indeed, their recruitment into military service was part of an administrative project to increase the separation between white and free non-white individuals in the colony. And since the 1600s, a number of locally respected free people of color had been treated as full citizens and allowed to serve as militia officers and work as doctors. French immigrants to the colony sought their daughters and sisters as wives, but by the late 18th century, they were subjected to an increasing number of laws that discriminated against them because of their African descent. Attempting to prove themselves as virtuous Frenchmen, hundreds of free colored militiamen volunteered to join Royal French troops to fight in the American Revolution in 1779. After being poorly treated by their own officers at the Battle of Savannah, their most determined leaders decided to petition royal officials in France for changes in the colonial racial laws. However, only after the beginning of the French Revolution did free colored activists find the opening they needed to press for equal rights. Poor whites in St. Dominic also had grievances that would explode during the early years in the French Revolution. And after France lost Quebec in the 7 Years' War, sound like a playoff game. After they lost Quebec in the 7th. After they lost Quebec in the 7 Years' War that ended in 1763, immigration to St. Dominic had increased dramatically. And though some of these new colonists grew prosperous planting coffee, most dreams of quickly making an American fortune were frustrated. Wealthy planters owned much of the land and dominated local society, and the military commanders who ran the colony's government treated unemployed and propertyless colonists harshly. These immigrants, whom the slaves mocked with the names Petits Blancs, little whites, Petits Blancs, resented the royal administrators and the established white planters and merchants and the wealthy mixed race families who were scorned for their African ancestries, but had successful plantations, farms, and businesses. Excuse me, my bad. Poor colonists wanted opportunities, even if those came at the expense of groups they believed to be unfairly privileged. The wealthiest white planters and merchants in St. Dominic had their own complaints against the colonial system, and many resented France's trade laws, which prohibited them from selling their sugar directly to the profitable foreign market and from buying slaves from foreigners. They spoke out against ministerial tyranny, the idea that French officials in Versailles could overrule St. Dominic's elites in commercial or political matters that colonists understood best. And in 1784 and 1785, for instance, they bitterly opposed the royal attempt to humanize slave conditions with the law that would require planters to provide workers with a minimum of food, clothing, and rest. The Supreme Council of Lecomte refused to register the decrees, and they were never put into practice. And in 1787, the royal government responded by shutting down the Council of Lecomte, an action that left many colonists bitter and frustrated about their lack of input in the colonial government. The debate over those reforms presaged the conflicts and accusations that would become commonplace during the revolutionary years. Some administrators, as well as enlightened writers, Louis Sebastian Messer and Denis Diderot warned that the unchecked betrayal The unchecked brutality, not betrayal, the unchecked brutality of planters would provoke the slave revolution and argued that the state of the duty to rein in their abuses. Document 2. We have to see what this document 1, document 2 state. Planters insisted that violence was necessary to keep, let's see, let me mark that right now. Document 1, and I'll put a question mark. Question mark. What is document 1? I think I got document 3 down there too. Question mark. Question mark. Like to look for these. In document 2, planters insisted that violence was necessary to keep the slaves in check and that the intervention of the state of the master-slave relations, an intervention that they saw as abolitionists, was likely to stir up the slave insurrection. Masters and administrators were not the only ones attentive to these debates. It seems, and starting in 1791, many slave insurgents presented themselves as defenders of the King of France, probably at least in part because of royal attempts to better their living conditions. Shit, all he was saying was put them in some projects. Put them in some projects. Give them some food stamps. And they would have been all right. Damn right, I'm reading shit. Interestingly, 18th century St. Dominique had a comparatively small rebel tradition until 1791. And neighboring Jamaica, for instance, had at least 8 major slave uprisings between 1673 and 1766, as well as the formation of strong maroon communities of escaped slaves that forced the British to sign peace treaties with them in the 1730s. Large and aggressive maroon groups did not exist in St. Dominique, in part because there were a few parts of the colony that were not settled with plantations. Even in the mountains, St. Dominique's maroons may have been less militant than those in Jamaica because the French colony was so large and had so many legally free people of color, despite requirements that all free people of color be able to prove their liberty. There were many isolated parishes where an escapee could eke out a living as a peasant, hunter, or cattle smuggler. Maroon groups did not play a significant role in preparing the 1791 uprising, but the ongoing practice of short-term escape from plantations did help create connections between slaves on different plantations. And so did the religious rituals that brought slaves together, one of which was described in a famous passage by the Martinican-born lawyer and writer Médéric Louis Élie Moreau de Sainte-Marie. Médéric Louis Élie Moreau de Sainte-Marie in document 3. St. Dominique's most significant episode of pre-evolutionary slave resistance began around 1752, when the charismatic slave Macandale was alleged to be poisoning, let's mark his name too, Macandale. When the charismatic slave Macandale, don't try to not give him his shine, Macandale, better watch out. That Mackendale. When the charismatic slave Mackendale was alleged to be poisoning whites and their livestock in the North Province. This rumor created a kind of hysteria among colonists. Although they captured and executed Mackendale in 1758, his ability to create networks of resistance linking workers in different plantations provided an example for the successful revolt in 1791. Mackendale. We almost to the stop. We're going to stop at this next section. We're gonna stop down here. And that'll be it for tonight. Or that'll be it for this episode. St. Dominique's. Oh, no. Back up. The stories that circulated about his exploits, both among masters and slaves, helped keep alive the idea that a dramatic change in the social order was possible. All it took was one. Mackendale was the first. Mackendale was the first one to say, fuck y'all. and meant it. Bitch, I'll kill you. Mackendale was the first. He lit the fire. Mackendale lit the fire. They got him, but he lit the fire. St. Dominique's rapid transformation from the near-empty frontier to its densely populated economic powerhouse made it ripe with its extensions and fissures. The plantation economy transformed the landscape and the circulation of products, people, and ideas, integrated the colonies, port towns into the Atlantic world as well. The white population was divided in complex ways, and many whites were waiting for the opportunity to transform their relationship with France and improve their economic possibilities. Free people of color, many of them wealthy and content with the economic order, were frustrated by legal discrimination and hoped to challenge the racial order. Most important, the vast majority of people, the enslaved, lived under the brutal regime, and many were ready to revolt when they saw an opportunity, when they saw an opening. And by the late 1780s, when the stage was set for the intertwined set of struggles over the status of free people of color, administration of the colonies, and the question of slavery itself. I'm going to stop there. We'll come back next time with the revolution begins, 1789 to 1781. That's just a couple of years, man. Let me see this, man. Let's read this. I'll look at this picture. I haven't read what the picture is. This is what I'm thinking it is, though. I think that's the slave. That's the slave owner. That's the one who come from Europe. That's the one who was here, who stayed here in St. Dominique, and that's the children, the free non-color. Let's see what it say though. That's what I think it is, but let's see what it say. Just from looking at the picture, and from what I've read so far, it says this anonymous engraving, probably produced in 1791, presented an allegorical representation of the granting of rights to free men of color. The original caption explains the image as follows. Reason, characterized by a woman with a sacred fire of the love of the fatherland in her hand. Where's the sacred fire? I don't see that. I wonder if that's the fleur-de-lis and the torch. Maybe that. I wonder if that has something to do too with the Statue of Liberty. I know they say so many different things, but who gave the Statue of Liberty to America? Was it France? Who gave the Statue of Liberty to America? France. The people of France gifted the Statue of Liberty to America. And when? In 1865. What was this? 1804. Presents an allegorical representation of the granting of rights to the free men of color. Reason, characterized by a woman with the sacred fire of the love of the fatherland on her head. Okay, I see that. Places the white man and the man of color at the same level. And behind him is a cornucopia, a banana tree. And fertile countryside. He is leaning on the rights of man, and holds in his other hand the decree of May 15th concerning the free people of color. Reason is being pushed by nature, who is wearing the crown of fruit and has 14 breasts. Damn. Why that sounds like that sounds like a god, a goddess. What mythical goddess has 14 breasts? Who is the goddess with many breasts? Diana. Diana was always a virgin, an eternally young, untamed girl nourishing all life. Thus, she has many breasts because she has many children to feed. Her hands form the gesture of bestowing worldly and spiritual blessings. She is crowned with the goddess, sacred vessel, and the lunar disc makes a halo around her head. What are the breasts of Artemis? She is festooned with a number of egg-shaped objects across her chest, which have variously been identified as female breasts, eggs, or even the testicles. Some. Interpretation of the oval objects covering the upper part of the Ephesian Artemis is that they represent multiple breasts, symbolizing her fertility. So that's what the same thing is. So it's the French. They have some nature. Is that what she said it is? Nature. Reason is being pushed by nature, who is wearing a crown of fruit. Oh, you motherfucker. Damn. That's me. I'm the motherfucker. I'm the one that wasted. Me. At least it didn't get on my book on my laptop. Trying to show y'all stuff. Mm-hmm. So there go all up. You probably can't see it good. But there go the breast, the crown of fruit. There go the lady with the fire on top of her head, putting the white man and the man of color on the same level. That's a bunch of Florida leaves in there. This is the decree. This leaning on the law of man and the decree given. He is leaning on the rights of man and holds in his hand the decree of May 15th concerning the free people of color. Reason is being pushed by nature, who is wearing a crown of fruit and has 14 breasts. She is standing on a goatskin bag from which are emerging the demon of aristocracy, of egoism, which through its erection, maybe that's all one word. Resurrection. Through its resurrection, ready to cross the ocean, which is in the background. I wonder what's all this shit. It's from the Bibliothèque Nationale. Bibliothèque. And we're still just getting into this, so we're gonna keep pushing. But that was that. We're gonna stop there tonight, man. That's it for part 2 of Slave Revolution in the Caribbean, 1789 to 1804, by Laurent Dubois and John D. Garrigus. Oh man, I waste my lemonade. Oh Lord, my pink lemonade was getting good. Ugh. Clean it up. Anyway, so we're done with the reading for the night, man. Let's get 25 things and be out of here. 25 things. Give me 25 things. It don't matter what it is. 25 Southside, 25 somethings. Give me 25 somethings. I didn't waste it all. 25 somethings. Let's work our body. We didn't work our body once. We worked our mind for sure. As we rolled our way through the sea of pages that was laid before us by Mr. Dubois and Mr. Garrigus in the slave revolution in the Caribbean, I rolled my way. I mean, so far so good. So far so good. There's definitely some stuff. Definitely some information. What's that boy name? Macandale was out there doing his thing. Yep. Macandale. They got him. But he got something before they got him. Macandale. 25 things, though. Let's get that out of the way. 25 things. Oh, man. I'm tired, yeah. But anyway, let's get it. Okay, 25 things. Oh, Lord. Oh. Talk about it. Oh, needed that. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. My energy running low. 19, 20. Oh man. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, that 50 would have been a lot. I'd have felt it a lot more, that's for sure. Hey. Well, we did it. We worked our body, we worked our mind, we worked our body again. Shit, man, I'm tired. I'm tired. I feel sluggish. I'm talking sluggish. But hey, we pushed through the road in this session. We rolled in this session, man. If we have all we need to succeed, you have all you need to succeed. Let's succeed. Let's push forward. One session at a time, one episode at a time, one book at a time, man, until we get in there and find what treasures we can find in there. What can we learn and grow from in these books? That's what we're trying to see. How can we apply some of these things to our life, you know, to amplify what we already got going, or to make adjustments so we can detour to the right paths that we need to be on. What can we go? What can we find? And I'm going to keep doing my part of the revolution and read shit. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Tell your people SHILO out here reading shit, man. I'm out here reading shit. Won't you? So, shalom, everybody, man. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night, wonderful day, whenever it is y'all see this. Catch it on the back end. Tell your people about it and they watch on the back end. And catch me on the next part 3, man, when we pick back up. Pick back up at the revolution begins 1789 to 1791. And we'll see what it is. We'll try to finish this little bitty thing out pretty quickly. Shalom. SHILO out.